Hey everyone, welcome to our new game. This is Necropolis Hollywood, our first Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary Edition Chronicle. It's another one of those games that we have been talking about for months, getting organized, getting ready to start, and here we finally are. Wraith is probably my second favorite game after Werewolf, so I've really been itching to play this one, and I've got some players who really ready to jump in. Um, Before we get too much into the meat of the game, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my players. And first we have Mora.
Hi, I'm Maura, and I'm going to be playing Natalia Calloway.
Alrighty, and Minty Bo.
Hello, I'm Minty, and I'm going to be playing Terry Holtz.
All right. So let's tell you a little bit about Necropolis Hollywood. Those of you familiar with Wraith the Oblivion, the main story for the game ended in 1999 when the sixth Maelstrom, triggered by lots of events. I'm not even going to try to go into the full Week of Nightmares description there, but just to say that a bomb went off in the underworld and triggered a maelstrom and blew away most of the wraiths. We're about 20 years past that. We're actually going to start up in the year 2023, and in our world, in the city of Los Angeles, more specifically within Hollywood itself, the city walls of the necropolis managed to stay up despite the maelstrom, and allowed for a small group within their citadel to ride out the storm, as it were. Some of it used as a chance to get rid of rivals and kind of reset the rules back to their own liking. Our characters have passed on recently and have found themselves in a grim, gray version of Hollywood, California. Though connected to the world of living, the restless dead pursue their passions behind a dense wall known as the Shroud. In some places where spiritual beliefs are higher, the Shroud is thinner, and wraiths can interact with the living world much easier. Within this necropolis stands the Duchess Hotel. In the Skinlands, it's a faded memory of its past glory, yet is maintained by its dedicated owner. The hotel allows enough memoriam to keep the structure from complete collapse and keeps the wraiths there really invigorated. They're not as strong as they used to be, but they're still a force to be reckoned with. The Duchess Hotel remains a haunt for the recently departed, though still transitioning into the afterworld. Once a stronghold of a powerful circle known as Old Hollywood, their glamour has faded significantly in the face of young Hollywood, who've basically taken charge as a lot of their older peers were lost to the storm. The Hollywood necropolis remains separate from a larger Los Angeles necropolis that surrounds it. Legends say that a 100-year pact between the group's leaders is nearing its end, and Hollywood will soon have to concede its holdings. The government of the dead, the hierarchy in the LA necropolis, is slowly returning, but its oversight is loose as the organization has bigger fish to fry. Renegade circles are really few and far between. The Fishers and other related religious cults have gained popularity outside of Hollywood, but have not breached the walls of the Hollywood necropolis just yet. The guilds have once more returned to prominence, mostly with mixed reactions. Their services can be quite expensive beyond mere obuli. I'd like to let people know that this is going to be a very dark game at times, but not without hope. We're telling the stories of the dead and their misery as they watch their loved ones suffer and continue life without them. Some of the restless dead died from natural causes, other accidents, and tragically by their own hand. We have discussed safety tools among the players, and they will let me know if something takes a step too far for them. We promote trust amongst our groups, but it's a game, and we just want to make sure that everybody has fun. And that's where I think what I want to do now is I'm going to step back and start letting the players tell us a little bit about their character. You don't have to go through the full character sheet. You're welcome to if you like to. Maybe their passions, their fetters. If they don't want to tell their fetters, that's absolutely fine. Who knows? A stray player might find out what one of your fetters is and try to destroy you. So it's up to you what you'd like to share. I assume the players will keep out of character knowledge away from themselves. But who would like to start to tell us about their character? 50-50 shot.
If you want to go first, you can.
Okay, well, you know what? All right, I'll lead us off. So hello, I will be playing the almost was just their folk singer, Terry Holtz. Yes, a folk singer in the year of our insert whichever data you have here, 2023. Terry is very much a person that was supposed to be the It Factor star back in 1950 and 60.
Wow.
They were very much a person that thought that kind of music that revolves around your home life and your community could still find an impact again. And they spent several years out of high school trying to make it. And they were just almost right there. And then
that Dylan guy came along.
Cut a little too short. They, let's see, what are some things about Terry that the audience might enjoy?
Let me ask a question then. So if they were in the 50s and 60s, they must be in their 70s, close to their 80s by now.
Well, if they had been in the 50s and 60s, they would have been a star. What I'm saying is that's kind of the style of their music.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I got you.
No, Terry's learned that when people call them an old soul, half them mean it as a compliment, as in they remind them of people they knew, and half them mean it as an insult of why the hell are you still stuck almost a century back music-wise? Get with
I gotcha.
times.
Okay.
But yes, Terry's goals in life were to build their own legacy, become the next Johnny Cash, become that kind of style, and maybe add something new to it to be that inspiration for other people going after it. And there's some interpersonal drama in the background they were hoping to fix up along the way, but maybe death will stop them.
What was some of that drama that was going on when they were among the living, as we say?
Well, of course, every family wants their people to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
When they don't think you're going to succeed, some families are very, very eager to tell you so. And, well, the axe may forget, but the tree always remembers. And I think that's a good way to phrase it without revealing a little too much. Yeah. We got to keep in a little bit of suspense.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. Okay. What did they look like when they were just kind of a brief description?
Terry kind of looks like if the kid that likes to play Commando grew up and got a little bit gayer. They always had a bandana headband on. Their hair was in some sort of weird faux hawk mohawk, like shaggy, uneven mess mop on their head. Okay. It was always either army green or denim jackets, not parachute pants, but pants that are just baggy enough to could be mistaken for them. They pretty much look like they raided both a Sephora aisle and a CVS and an army surplus store.
I like it. All right, let's meet our other character.
Yeah, Natalia is. I might change this, but for right now, she's a singer, a different type of singer, pop singer. and she got into the industry with some family connections. I'm at a loss.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Those family connections, were they people in the industry or?
Yeah, people in the industry. Her uncle got her first singing gig.
Okay. So nothing underhanded, like, they didn't, go in and put a gun to a music producer's head and say, hey, my niece is a real great singer, So,
No.
okay. Okay.
No, legit. It was all
Okay.
legit. Most
Okay.
of it was legit.
Okay. And she has a family?
She does have a family. She has a daughter, named Isabel.
Isabel.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's just her and Isabel.
Okay. That's fine. All right. And in terms of description, what did Natalia look like? So
Vanessa Hudgens would be a good example.
okay.
I think that's how you say her name. The girl who played Gabrielle in High School Musical.
That's how we say it, we'll say. So
Yeah. And she likes to be subtle in her outfits. She doesn't go all out, but it's still like classy.
Okay.
And that would apply to her makeup too. She doesn't go all out with her makeup, but it's like still there, like the natural look.
Okay.
Or what they refer to as the natural look.
Okay. That sounds pretty good. Let's we'll talk about the one point in the game that some people kind of don't like is when their characters die. We will be having a singular event that will lead all the characters to their demise, so that we'll have that in relation. My style tends to be kind of a fade to black, present the situation, but not really, unless people really want it, which usually nobody does. Just saying, here's the situation, and we fade to black. So if that's appropriate with my players, we'll go with that. There's plenty of other games where I talk about people being ripped apart and things like that, and having black slime tattoos on them and things like that. So we'll
oh, don't worry, I was there for Oak Hill. I know how that can go. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the YouTube channel. They have it right there.
Yep.
On here.
So so that's kind of my style for treating their end, as it were. In terms of when you do arrive, you will. What they say with Wraith, you appear as your character wanted to appear. So in the case of, say, maybe like an older character, they may come over and they're suddenly younger. You can think about things like that. I would assume you're going to go probably with the descriptions you just gave me, but when we start the game, I'll be asking for your descriptions and all that again. So if you decide to go, oh well, now he's 6'5" and built like a brick shit house, and okay, that's that's the description. It's really how they saw themselves in life. In terms of the actual game, I tend to start off with very small circle, even though it's as a joke, the group is called a circle. But I try not to get too much into the Wraith politics and all that stuff at first. I tend to think that kind of overwhelms new players. So if you have plans for later on, you're like, well, I'm going to join the whatever guild, okay, we'll get to that. We're gonna start off real small, and get to that. This season is really going to be 6 episodes, which I think should give us a good chance to get to know the players, get to know the things they miss from the living world, and maybe some of the things they don't miss. Maybe they're going to have an interaction with someone they didn't like. They might be like, oh, this is awesome. I can just fuck with them, and they'll never know it was me. We'll kind of see where the story takes us. And that kind of leads up to the next thing, is we're going to talk about shadows. Shadows are really the antithesis of the character. What you're going to hear terms, the psyche and the shadow. The psyche is really what our players play. The shadow is another side of them, and it ultimately seeks to bring down the character, either destroy them, send them on hopeless chases, but really its goal is to destroy the character and drag them down, basically into the abyss, into oblivion. Each of the players have come up with their own shadow, and they will, right now, they will be playing each other's shadows. We will have at least one more player joining, possibly even a fourth. We're working on it. But for the moment, the players are going to play each other's shadows. Would you guys like to introduce your shadows and tell you about their shadows, or would you rather keep that a secret?
I think if we're playing it, it should be. Since we're playing each other once,
Okay.
I don't have a problem with explaining my shadow.
Okay, then if you want to go ahead and they don't necessarily have a name. Now, sometimes you'll hear people give their shadow a name because their shadow just annoys them. They're like, oh, there's asshole again, But in general terms, it's my shadow. But yeah, why don't you tell us about Natalia's shadow?
Natalia's shadow is a voice of hope. So the voice of hope. I'm trying to pull it up on my PDF right now, and I can't find it. But the voice of hope, like, literally just gives them false hope. It's like, oh, if you do this, you'll become alive again, and this will all be like a bad dream. And then keeps pointing them in pointless goose chases.
And the shadow, they will have their own powers, as it were. They're fueled by angst. So the more angst that the player, the psyche gathers, the shadow uses that as power. And shadows don't even really have to be obnoxious. It can be as simple. Everyone plays them differently, and I think once you get to know the players, or excuse me, the wraiths, their psyches, that's when I think the shadow gets developed. Because if you're like, oh well, she's such a sweet person, and is so driven to get that career, to get that thing going, and then there's that shadow who's just, well, that was a good song, but it could have been a little better, or hey, that judge just wasn't fair to you. Well, they've always been mean to you. You guys will develop what you want for your shadows. And if you think the other player is totally off base on your shadow, say something and we can tweak it. But what we've developed is the characters, when the shadow speaks, really only the player whose shadow it is hears them. So we were going to give an example of when a shadow is speaking, how the players are going to let us know or players, let other players and the audience know how they're speaking as a shadow. So you guys want to give a demonstration? I love it. And feel free to come up with whatever voice you like. It's up to you guys. But again, I'm really looking forward to that. Past games I've run, and I have not run Wraith in over 20 years. So the last one I ran, and this is going to make me sound really old, we played by email. So it was all posting. So we didn't have online. The game actually went a couple months. I mean, and it's actually this exact same setting. I really enjoyed it. It just came to an end. I think one of the players couldn't play anymore and literally only had 2 players. So it stopped. And I've been kicking around this idea for a long time. When I watched American Horror Story, they did one in Hollywood about a haunted hotel. And I went, son of a bitch. I was like, that was sort of my idea. You know, I still think that was a play on Hotel California, but with the vampires or something. But it was, yeah, that was kind of the vibe I was going for, was kind of a Hotel California. These characters are not limited to staying in one place. I know, at least, I think it's maybe Terry has a haunt in mind at a specific place, which is fine, which is where we'll be definitely doing that. But there will be kind of a stronghold or almost like a citadel of Hollywood, the Duchess Hotel. So that's what we'll be using for that. I don't honestly have a terrible huge list of other items to go over with you guys. I'd mostly like to just save it for the actual game, but I want to see what questions you guys might have.
Maybe not supposed to much question, but kind of make sure we're kind of level on it, since people now know what Natalia's shadow is. I guess I need to explain Terry's.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Hi. I'm gonna break out the glasses. And for anyone watching, just to note, we're talking about our own shadows, but we are playing each other. So when you see me put on the glasses, that's hers. When she puts on the glasses, that's Terry's. But
correct. Yep.
You know that dragging, nagging feeling that really this just isn't worth it. This isn't working, and you know, does it really fucking matter? Does any of this fucking matter? Just go back to sleep. Curl up in bed. Stop paying attention in class. The notes aren't going to help you. You're still going to fail. Let's just get some snacks. Just come to terms with it. And whatever you do, just slow down. And that's the voice that Terry will be hearing. Well, the general gist of the voice that Terry hears.
What do you think you can master that voice, Maura?
Yeah, that seems pretty.
Oh no, take that voice whichever way you go.
Whichever way you want to go.
But for anyone searching in the book for what that translates to, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the somnambulist. I am probably butchering that, but
I don't know how to pronounce it either.
I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Sounds good to me.
For reference, it basically just means your shadow just wants you to stop worrying, stop giving effort, stop paying attention. It's not worth it, and drags you down by making you slow down and stop putting in effort.
I think they have similar. Yeah.
I'm giving Maura as many knives as I can. I'm giving her the chest of knives, saying, "Here, please hurt me."
I think they're similar in a way, but they have different motives. So, and that's when I saw what you guys chose, and both singers, I was like, this could work out great, because they could bond, or they could be complete opposites. We'll see. That's the beauty of this game. It's not as much a group game of all the White Wolf games. Werewolf is the group game. I mean, you have a pack. I mean, you're working as a team. A circle of wraiths, you can have common goals, and one of those common goals will be to discover why you died, maybe who was responsible, if anyone was responsible. So you're going to kind of start off with similar goals, but then you're going to develop things from there. So there will be a certain level of trust, and that's where the shadow comes in, and could completely break that down. So, okay, what else do you got for me?
I do have a haunt. It'd be like where she did most of her recording, her studio, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know where that would be.
Yeah, there's no rule. There's no rule that says you all have to stay here. I mean, you have your haunt. You're driven there. You're I don't want to say bound there. You will discover the fetters, which are the things that hold you here. They're the real reason that you haven't moved on. There may be things that you want to finish, there may be things you don't want to finish, but it's holding you here. The arcanoi we were talking about, those kind of develop as things you just discover. You might do something and go, hey, how did I do that? And you discover it has some kind of power to it. There are the guilds that are around that do teach the arcanoi. They can be kind of sticky to deal with, though. In the old days, a lot of them were banned by the hierarchy because basically they were allowing wraiths to learn how to do things they weren't supposed to, mostly interacting with the living. That is the big thing. It's the dictus mortem. You are not to interact with the living because if they discover our presence, that's when ghost hunters and mediums and all sorts of folks start showing up and causing problems. It's one of those things. Sometimes players are like, "Oh, I want to max out, this or whatever," and it's like, okay, just slow down. We can get to it. It's not as much like vampire where you're like, oh, I'm a gangrel. Well, I definitely have to have all these levels of protean, or I'm a Ventru. I gotta have 100 levels of dominate, to start off with. Wraith, you really can build. In game terms, you can really build whatever you want based on what your character becomes. So I always enjoyed Outrage, and Pandemonium was always lots of fun. I have plans to bring back one of my favorite characters at some point in the game, who was very big into Pandemonium. So you might run into them at some point. But okay, anything else? Because I'll sit here and talk about Wraith all night. I love this game. So
I love it too.
This is my first time playing
Wraith. Okay.
I'm excited. This is my first one I've played in. I've seen a couple playthroughs, so I can kind of gauge where a vibe can go. I think it does. You said, Tom, I know you've mentioned time and time again on this can be a dark and heavy game and all that. But this is more. Hi, hello, viewers. If you are watching this now or sometime in the future, let me give you a piece of advice about this game system. Number one, like a lot of early White Wolf, there are some things in here that do not hold up to the test of time. As with all tabletops, feel free to pick and choose what you have in your game. Second, just because you see us play it a certain way doesn't mean you can do it only that way. Please do it however you want. But just be warned, there are plenty of things in this book and in this game that are very questionable. So know that if you decide hey, I'm going to go look at the book now, and you see something very unsettling there. Just be warned. We're filtering out, but
yeah, it can be pretty heavy. Some of the older editions had some cringy stuff. I loved, there was a book called Spectres. They had White Wolf used to have a thing called a Black Dog Game Factory, which were their heavier settings. And I personally was a huge fan of Black Dog. Spectres was a great book. There was another book called The Risen, where characters basically found a way to get back into their body, and not quite a zombie, but they get up and they start moving around. That's not something easy to come across. It would be an entire chronicle, basically achieving that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. I'm going to lean on my players for their insight and their experience. So if something kind of starts to go one way, just let me know. We'll back off. Like I said, you may run into some characters who's had some very rough lives, but I try not to harp on things. I think you guys have played with me before. I may allude to things, but I try not to, be bad with it, or whatever the expression is you want to use. But I am looking forward to starting this up, getting this thing rolling. And like a lot of my games, you guys know, it's a slow burn. Things start off kind of slow. I prefer to just kind of build gradually, rather than just throw something right at you. This isn't typically a combat heavy game, or there can be combat, definitely, but it's more about interactions with other wraiths and the living world. So that's to me kind of where the fun of it is. If there are other game lines, like one I always wanted to run was the Great War. That one was set during World War One, which someday maybe, but I want to get this game up and running first. This, I think, has some potential to last for a while, but obviously just one episode at a time, and we'll see where we go from there. So, okay. Anything else you guys want to ask about, or?
Not that I can think of. Actually, I do have a question.
Okay.
For that shadow sheet, do we fill it out, or?
Yes. Yeah, you fill it out. You're going to build your shadow, but then you turn it over to someone and say, oh boy, all right, here you go. and then they run it. So yeah, so you would want to fill in the shadow sheet, and we'll do that. So, and with the shadow, there's really no rules how often you can jump in as the shadow. I try to ask people, don't be, every time the player's trying to do something, jump in and go, ha ha, no, I'm not going to let you do that. Sometimes picking your moments is better. Maybe when they're down, maybe they failed at something, that's the, you guys will find your rhythm to it. Be like, when does it hurt the most? Here's when I show up, or just even just whisper something in their ear. Told you not to try that. Things like that that will add spice to it. So, okay.
I read a good tip that said generally shadow talk should be 20% of the rest of the 80%, but we'll play around and see where we fall.
Yeah. Sometimes you can do more damage as the shadow by just that quick little dagger strike and just stepping back, and it's, but again, it also depends on the shadow. I mean, there's some that are like, the abusive parent, that, that's going to be pretty heavy handed. There's some there's, I think, like one, like the child, who's the, you never loved me, you never paid any attention to me, and but yeah, Yeah, sometimes less is more.
Mhm. And y'all can take that and run it to the bank.
Let me look at your character sheets and just see,
No doubt.
without giving anything away. I don't want to give anything away. So, Natalia, definitely a performer, which I see that. And yeah, definitely Terry. You both chose one of the same Arcanoi, which is interesting. That's I think a good choice. But we'll see what you guys decide to do with things. Again, it's not something like you're like, okay, now I have to go find this guild and develop this. You know, you might be like, just play around with something, and it might be just something you use occasionally. Just depends on what I throw at you. I don't honestly have a ton of things set in stone. You've played with me, you know, it's episode to episode. You know, I have no overarching story written. We will we will figure it out together and see where we go. But you know, ultimately the goal is for you guys to have fun. So
Okay.
And I'm excited to see where we go.
Okay. Then if we don't have anything else, I suppose we can go ahead and wrap up. And we will actually be starting on, I believe it's November 9th. Check my schedule. Yep, November 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we'll start everything up then. So thanks again for everybody watching. I appreciate it. And be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And we will see you all in about 2 weeks. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.